Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show with Ken Lain. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
So we have stocked up for Mother's Day weekend. This is the peak flower weekend. You're seeing a transition in your gardens right now in that the spring, early spring things, the snapdragons, the flowering kale or ornamental kale, the dusty millers bolting to yellow flowers. You're seeing a lot of these early calendulas. Oh, you can't keep that thing deadheaded enough. Keep it blooming. And so they love the spring. They don't like the summer as much. And so they kind of struggle some more. So now you're transitioning and you're adding or sprinkling or actually replacing pansies and violas with summer things. So it's zinnias, a bulletproof, sun-loving, animal-proof, javelina, don't bother, zinnias. It's just you're putting those things in now. Cosmos, geraniums, petunias, calibrachoa, alyssum, lobelia. You can go down the line. Shade plants or begonias, coleus, potato vine. There's a new potato vine. This is a sweet potato that has this really bright chartreuse, like bright colored foliage. It's quite striking. It can grow in the shade or the sun, either one. The reason it's so tough, because it's a sweet potato. It's kind of like a dahlia. Dahlias are very tough. They look delicate, but they've got this root structure that has very like carrots, the rhizomes that just bulk up and hold up the moisture. Well, potato vines, they got a potato that holds all that moisture. So it makes it very robust. Even the windiest of garden areas, a hanging basket, it can take that because it's got most of its water and food is stored inside the root structure. You don't see this, but it's got this delicate foliage coming out, but down at the roots, it's really bulky and just kind of chunky and hearty. And so new color. So they come in generally purples, kind of a copper color, and several of these light limey green colors, which are quite striking against some of these darker foliage. So begonias usually have this sparkling, like vibrant pinks and whites and reds with this dark, rich, waxy foliage. But a potato vine with a different kind of foliage, oh my gosh, it just screams, I'm a gardener. I know what I'm doing. Look at my designs. And they grow and they thrive. They just get more beautiful as the season progresses. So these are things, we're planting those things now. If you've got empty containers, this is when geraniums, you've got so many varieties. I probably have over a dozen varieties or colors of geraniums. It's probably the number one selling annual flowering plant for window boxes, hanging baskets, containers, because they're so easy and they come in different varieties. So you've got ivy geraniums, which have these long, the foliage looks like English ivy, only it has a flower, because spills over and runs, good trailing. Then you've got zonal, which is the most common. Zonal is these chubby, just nice little kind of rounded, sturdy geraniums that just stand up straight without any staking, just kind of hold their own. They bloom and they bloom and they bloom. And then the most interesting and unusual, we like geraniums. So we have Martha Washington geraniums. Yes, after our namesake, George and Martha Washington. This is her flower. And then we've expanded this beyond anything she could ever even imagine as far as colors. If you want a bigger geranium, something that gets up knee high or so, covered, nice ball-shaped, thick, full with really interesting flower colors, typically striped. So you've got purple with white stripes, white with red stripes. You've got all these different, very unusual. And then the last one is scented geraniums. We've got quite a few, or citronella plant. There's another name it goes by, but really it's a geranium. It's scented like minty or citrusy. And if you hose that down, plant those around your entertainment area. Let's say you're going to be at a sunset on your back patios, your decks. Put it there in a container. Put it where your guest can walk by it and brush up against the foliage, and it will fill that entire space with this citrusy, very rich, kind of nice smell. And then it also keeps the bugs away, flies and mosquitoes. And so I like to plant it there. In fact, if I'm having guests, I'll grow them where they can rub up against them because they think, wow, your gardens always smell so amazing. I know. That's because I plant scented geraniums right there that you ran up against. You'll smell like that when you get home too, because it's got this real rich, oily scent to it. But then before everyone gets there, I'll hose down my foliage that evening, just maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes before everyone gets there. When that moisture, just at sunset, hits the foliage, it releases all this repelling scent around my patio. So it keeps the flies and mosquitoes away. I mean, one fly, ants, mosquitoes. I mean, the party's over. That's it. Everyone's going indoors and that's it. Well, you want to watch a sunset, drink another glass of tea with your friends. And so that's my little insider tip that I do. Marigolds can do that. Of course, lemongrass is famous for that. That's probably the one that gets written up most on the internet, but I find there's better choices. Like scented geraniums are much better, bigger, bolder at repelling insects. All your lavenders, rosemaries, all your herbs, thyme, oregano, these are all really good when the foliage is rubbed or moisture hits the foliage, it releases this herbal scent that insects, they just do not like. Also, animals typically don't like that either. So you're not going to have as many rabbits, and pack rats, and deer and that kind of stuff. And so anyway, that's some insider tip. Right now, if you're coming in and need some help, give us the size of your pot. We'll go, oh, yeah, here's some 3 things. Generally try to go by 5s, odd numbers, 3s, 5s, have a center thing in the middle that has this showy kind of, wow, that's pretty, and have things that spill over the edges, like your potato vine, like alyssum, like lobelia, like bacopa. These things that they're just, your container should look so happy that they're spilling out with life. And they just happen to greet you every time you go out to watch a sunrise, watch the hummingbirds, enjoy the flowers from your salvias. So and when you're planting, if you really want a good design, you want it to look finished. So it's just like a mystery for folks. What the professionals do. So if we're planting for you, we will plant so that the foliage touches the foliage. We try to not root to root, but the foliage, you shouldn't see a whole bunch of empty dirt left in your raised bed of your garden. So you don't read the tag. Oh, space every 18 inches. Oh no, that's way out in commercial settings is how you do it. In your backyard, you want instantaneous gratification right now. And so we plant this 18-inch container so that the foliage touches the foliage. And so it fills out. It looks like you just planted it that morning, but it looks like it's been growing there in your backyard for 3 months. That's because you put 2 extra plants in and you got this joy out of it. If you're going to get 6 months out of it, get every single day you can out of your flowers. First frost is going to be in November sometime. Just go for it. Get full, big, delicious plants. Tomatoes. If you want success with tomatoes, get a big plant. Get a 1 gallon because you're 6 weeks ahead of planting by seed. And then you got to stub your trunk. It's more wind resistive. It'll take on the insects. It'll grow. It'll produce flowers that produce fruit faster. So bigger is better, especially when you're starting with annual flowers. So generally, I never recommend to customers 6 packs. These 6 cells, 6 flowers inside this little pack, because the roots are so tiny. What you're really buying with a plant are roots, not the flower, not the vegetable, not the tree, not the shrub. The bigger the root, the more success you have because you've got more fudge factor. The faster it will fill in and start growing quicker. It will set more flowers, set more fruit. And so for me, the minimum size I will grow, I won't even waste my time unless it's at least a 4-inch or even a gallon. My preferred is a gallon size. So it's like a one single plant inside this gallon size container. I like it because it instantaneously starts setting. You could start harvesting herbs now. It will set flowers like next week. You will start having peppers start to form, cucumbers start to grow, tomatoes start to activate. I like the gallon size. We sell even larger than that, especially patio tomatoes. Some folks are very impatient. I want it. Why doesn't this come with red tomatoes already on it? We're trying to figure that out. We just don't quite have it yet. So anyway, you're buying a root. The bigger the root, the the easier it is to water and care and fertilize that thing. More in store for you, but take a quick break. Be right back. You can grow your own vitamins.
We can show you how to grow your own vegetables and herbs for a healthier you.
Water's plants are entirely organic, with plant genetics never altered and non-GMO.
Natural vitamins straight from the garden with naturally healthier herbs and vegetables.
Healthier plants for a healthier you, with plants from Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Shop Waters in store or online at watersgardencenter.com. You're listening to garden expert Ken Lain. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Thanks for tuning in to the Top 10 Garden Show.